Open your eyes.
If you are wondering why everything going on in the world feels so terribly off, then you have come to the right place. A veil has been put over the eyes of humanity. Evil people in high places have been hiding the truth in plain sight and building a false reality on lies and deception for far too long. And now, their time is coming to an end. It's time to fight back, to wake up, and to begin an uprising. Now is a time for judgment.
This is a time for judgment. Welcome to today's show. As you can read on the screen, we are going through apparently the 6th mass extinction. That's right, human extinction. Now, we can all look at this from one perspective and say, oh yeah, there is a mass extinction going on, if you catch my drift. You know what I mean? Because people are, right? We're willing to do something, and it's causing a lot of problems. But you have to see what 60 Minutes was promoting as far as telling us about, pretty much telling you how bad humanity is. Because, humanity has grown, because of course humanity's grown, right? People have kids, that's how the population grows. Those are all things they want to make sure stop. Because if you don't, there's not enough room for the animals. These are the same animals they care so much about that they round them up and put them in zoos and other things that they do with the animals. Experimentations, anyone? But we're the ones making the animals extinct, of course, because everything always has to get blamed on us. And we have to prepare ourselves for the 6th extinction, the mass extinction. Some of the stuff is hilarious in the video clip, like talking about dinosaurs and, depending on what you believe in. But anyway, before I get to this clip from 60 Minutes, I want you to know there's a channel, A Time for Justice. If you haven't subbed, I definitely recommend you do. However, it did receive a strike, so there's no uploading there. This channel is one strike away from being completely gone. You'll wake up, it won't be here anymore. So I have a new one. It's called, well, you can see it. It's United Uprising. Okay, posted below. Those two channels, please make sure you sub to them, because again, I could be gone in a wink on this channel, and you'll be like, where is he? I don't know where that guy is. Whatever happened to him? He died? The CIA got him? Well, for the time being, no one's got me. So that's where I'll be. But please make sure at the very least, if a lot of you are probably sub, well, even half of you aren't sub to the backup. But the third channel as well is very crucial, because I will have nowhere to upload for weeks, plural. So please make sure you do that now. I'd appreciate it greatly if you do. Okay, so back to the story about what they're claiming on 60 Minutes, how they're pumping this into people's minds about human population, how we need to depopulate. Again, they're using mind control methods at every single angle that they can. We see more and more people now who are hateful of children, more and more people now getting their tubes tied, more and more people now are saying and agreeing with a lot of the way that China operates, saying they have 1 kid per household, and even people in this country say no kids per household. A lot of course, liberal people, at least the young ones, a lot of young people out there, again, who are completely under mind control, but been propped up and told that they know more and they're smarter, et cetera, et cetera. So 60 Minutes loves to run pieces like this. I had to break it up and change the speed on some of the clips, because 60 Minutes blocks. They don't not like copyright. They block these videos from being uploaded. And the reason that 60 Minutes does it is because they air a lot of controversial stuff, and they do not want anyone re-airing it and then cutting it and talking about it, stopping it, talking about it, so that you can get a different perspective of what they're saying and just break down the mind control that they're using. So take a look at 60 Minutes talking about a mass extinction.
In what year will the human population grow too large for the Earth to sustain? In 1970, the planet's 3.5 billion people were sustainable. Today, wild plants and animals are running out of places to live. The scientists you're about to meet say the Earth is suffering a crisis of mass extinction on a scale unseen since the dinosaurs.
Too many people, too much consumption, and growth mania.
You seem to be saying that humanity is not sustainable.
No, humanity is not sustainable. To maintain our lifestyle, yours and mine, basically, for the entire planet, you'd need 5 more Earths. Not clear where they're going to come from. Humanity is very busily sitting on a limb that we're sawing off.
When the population bomb came out, you were described as an alarmist.
I was alarmed. I am still alarmed. All of my colleagues are alarmed.
The alarm Ehrlich sounded in '68 warned that overpopulation would trigger widespread famine.
Rate of extinction is extraordinarily high now and getting higher all the time.
I don't think you'll find a scientist that will say we're not in an extinction crisis.
Today's rate of extinction is up to 100 times faster than is typical in the nearly 4 billion year history of life. These peaks represent the few times that life collapsed globally, and the last was the dinosaurs 66 million years ago.
There are 5 times in Earth's history where we had mass extinctions. And by mass extinctions, I mean at least 75%, 3/4 of the known species disappearing from the face of the Earth. Now we're witnessing what a lot of people are calling the 6th mass extinction, where the same thing could happen on our watch.
I and the vast majority of my colleagues think we've had it, that the next few decades will be the end of the kind of civilization we're used to.
The 5 mass extinctions of the ancient past were caused by natural calamities. Today, if the science is right, humanity may have to survive a 6th mass extinction in a world of its own making.
So again, they interview a guy who in 1970 pretty much said that the planet's 3.5 billion people weren't sustainable, but now they're saying, oh, they were in 1970, but today the population's 8 billion. So today, wild plants and animals are running out of places to live. Well, I don't know. I've said this before. I'm sure many of you have gone cross country before. Try taking the northern route. I mean, I'm talking Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming. They are completely open and vacated. Now, a lot of that land, Kansas as well, a lot of that land, of course, is owned by the government so that you can't go there because they got plans for it. A lot of that land, instead of farming and making more food so we don't have food shortages, they don't want you to do that. And the ones who do farm, like Bill Gates, well, they farm for a reason because they're farming, on human compost and doing other things with what they're farming. So they want to take full control of that. But anyway, back to this, talking about how we don't have room for wild plants and animals. Don't worry about humans. Don't worry about, this is what they've turned people into. People have no sympathy for other human beings. They care more about animals. And look, I care 100% about animals. I'm an animal lover, always have been. But when you start, caring about an animal's life over a human's life, and look, you might have your own pet, and you might say, well, I'll let my pet live before I let a human. Okay, well, I'm saying overall, the mindset of how people are just so cold towards other people, which the Bible talks about, right? In Matthew 24, verses 11 through 12, and many false prophets will arise and mislead many. Because of the multiplication of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. And we're seeing people grow cold. I mean, look, I'm not just making this up. I'm sure everybody feels it. People are cold towards each other. People don't even make eye contact anymore. And that's all part of what they've been doing over the last couple of years. Distancing people from one another, making people stay away from each other, making people, obviously with politics, have disdain for each other. This is what they're doing on purpose. This is how they bring in order out of chaos. They're creating chaos. They're turning people on one another when people should be looking at who's doing it and why they're doing it. But we have a society where when people hear stories like this, they're more sympathetic to wild plants and animals, and they're saying, well, then we need to cut back on humans. We need to depopulate. I mean, the guy sounded literally like he was reading off the Georgia Guidestones. The Georgia Guidestones that some civilian destroyed, but we never found out who it was, and they dug up for the time capsule and couldn't find it. Wink, wink. I mean, what a shocker that was. I mean, what an utter joke. Again, they do things like that, like I talked about in the summer. Obviously, they don't want people to see things like that because it's another thing that can wake people up. Wouldn't be surprised they dig up the one in the Denver airport soon and tell us nothing inside of it except a John Elway jersey. That's probably what they'll tell us, even though they'll probably have a blueprint for how to continue to destroy humanity. So the article, the story goes, we're going to show you a possible solution. In Washington State, they were talking about some of the sea level and the fish, right? So this, again, ties into climate change. Population control ties into climate change. And what they want you to do, and what they eventually want, is to put restrictions, not just on us and how we live, how many kids you can have. Remember the one story I covered about, well, if you have kids and a wife, you only get X amount of miles you can leave your house combined, right? So that gives people more of a mindset. Well, I don't want to have a family. I can only go 1,000 miles, I can only go 500 miles, not even 100 miles, let's say, for the whole month. Well, if I have I have a daughter and a son and a wife, we can all go 25 miles. We might as well be locked up in here. Oh yeah, that's the point. That's the utter point. The stuff that they come out with, the propaganda is so bad. It blows my mind how bad of a job the CIA and the FBI are doing. Because when you're a masters of psychological war like they are, you would think these psyops and these false flags that they create would be way, way better done. But they're probably looking at it going, look, these idiots out here, half of them are believing it, and we're barely putting any effort into it. And that's the truth of the matter. And they know a lot of people like us aren't going to fall for their crap. So they're like, well, why would we bother putting more of an effort in? They'll believe anything that we say and do. So we can create a psyop every few days. We can create these psyop stories and feed them to editors like CBS and 60 Minutes and Fox and all of them. We feed them these narratives and then they push it. They tell you that, we're going to put this stuff on food menus. So you will, you have to pick, if you pick a food that's bad for the climate, that's going to strike your carbon tax, and that's going to make you a horrible person, and we're going to shut you down and lock you up. But we'll still give you free will, so if you want to eat the red meat, just enjoy being locked in your house for the month. That's the price you pay. I mean, it's unbelievable. Really, it's unbelievable. And these guys come out there, and they're like, scientists and experts believe that we are so close to the end of humanity. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Well, there's truth to that. We're close to the end, because when God comes and wipes everyone off, that's the only way that this is going to happen. Of course, the other way is people willingly poisoning themselves. Excuse me. I mean, people willingly, you know what I mean? Can't say it, but you know what I mean. So God's eventually going to wipe these wicked people. Oh, he's going to wipe all of them off. So there will be a depop then, but for the time being, they want you to think, and again, they mentioned in the video, they were talking about all of these mass extinctions, which, give me a break, right? How about you talk about the mass extinction when God flooded the earth, right? That's the only, that's the mass extinction that most of us think of, right? Because of the wickedness that was going on in certain places. And of course, we see that same wickedness now, as in the days of Noah, of course. We see that the same disturbing stuff that we saw in the Gomorrah and the Sodom. I say it backwards for the algorithm. We see it now, right? And God was so disgusted, he flooded the earth. So they talk about these things, but they're like volcanoes, dinosaurs, ice ages, all this stuff that everybody buys into. And they're like trying to threaten you that the next one's going to be climate change because they're going to do things to manipulate the weather. Now they're going to blame it on nature, right? Oh my goodness, we accidentally erupted Mount Vesuvius, or, whatever. We went to Yellowstone and dropped a bomb in it. No, that was the earth just speaking because we've all heated up the climate. How have we heated up the climate? By breathing. What? Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't you get it? By breathing, by you being alive, you're creating all this. So we need you dead for the future of humanity. Oh, okay. Tell me what to do. I'll go visit Dr. Kevorkian, or should I say Justin Trudeau, because he'll do it for me in Canada. Okay. It's a giant, How are they buying this? I have no idea. I really don't. So these people are flat out coming on television, telling you how bad humanity is, how bad humans are, how bad the population is, that we need to stop it. And these imbeciles don't even realize that they're talking about them. They're like, yeah, we need to stop population. We need to stop people from, having babies and stuff. They're talking about killing all of us off. Liberal, Republican, whatever you are. They don't care. And these people are like, okay, I guess we should kill off some humans because 100 years from now, people will prosper. How do I know there's climate change? Because I saw on CNN that ice polars are ice is melting. Just the stupidest stuff. Control, psychological warfare at its finest. This is a dual threat, and climate change is a dual threat in so many different ways to humans' brains because they're hitting you from perspectives of guilting you, like you're a horrible person if you don't want to depopulate now. Think about where we've come in the last decade with depopulation. People heard that and they're like, there's people saying we're going to Ted Turner said what? That we need to kill off the population? Arrest him. Now it's like, no, they're right. Bill Gates is right. Oh, okay. Isn't he the guy who was just doing some stuff? No? Yeah. Maybe we should be suspicious. But, again, it's your fault. It's my fault. Let's start depopulating. We'll have people in our towns just coming out and saying, hey, you know what? There's too many people in this town. We're going to have to kill half the town off. Oh, okay. And then they'll base it on, divide you by politics and vote you out based on how you look or, something you say that they might, oh, he could be a threat because he raises his voice. People are so stupid. It's unbelievable. How we allow the mainstream media to control our society the way that they do is just, it's reprehensible. But we live amongst a lot of reprobates, so it doesn't surprise me, and it shouldn't surprise you. I thank you for being here. If you want to watch the full clip, if you didn't see it on 60 Minutes in its entirety, it is available on YouTube. You can type it in. I just couldn't play the whole clip because if you try to upload it, it blocks it in all countries, so people wouldn't be able to see it. There's not that much more in it. I took the main bullet points out of it. The other stuff has to do with convincing people about the sea level, about a lack of fish, about a lack of room for the animals to roam, as we're all supposed to believe that when they have everyone crammed into cities, and then they have all these other states that are completely wide open. Oh yeah, there's no room for the animals. Send them to Vermont. Send them to Maine. Not a lot of people there. No? Okay. North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Maine. Not enough room for the animals, entire states, because there's barely any people. No. Right. You're the problem. You need to be taken care of, and you better not procreate. And they're making sure that people aren't having babies in a lot of different ways right now. You can look at the obvious one that we just saw, but we can look at the 5G, the EMFs. I mean, everything that they're doing, they are making sure. But now they want to make sure on top of it that they're convincing you that it's the right thing to do, because they are breeding humanity into serving Satan and following his bullet points of agendas. And this is one of them. And next will be transhumanism and morphing humans, mixing iron and clay. So I thank everyone again for being here. Hope you're doing well. Reminder to sub to my backup channels listed below. God bless all of you and your families.